Hey, what's up? What's up, y'all? Back at it once again, a Coast Skill Fun Day. Spend this knowledge for you and for yours. And getting a lot of questions and stuff like that. People ask me on different sites, what's Pan-Africanism and and what it is and what's African nationalism and things of that nature. So I'm gonna take from a group that I don't deal with this group per se, but I like their views and whatnot and the stuff they represent. And I'm gonna take it from their group and their 7 guidelines of what an African nationalist. The key word, Pan-Africanism is a strategy to get to where we need to be going, which is back to African nationalism. You know what I'm saying? To me, ADOS is a strategy to get back to where we need to be going, which is African nationalism. Having a nation of our own. And I'm gonna take from this group right here, the African blood siblings. An African war without an African army is an African genocide. Remember that. I'm gonna say it again. An African war without an African army is an African genocide. You just set yourself up for failure. You know what I'm saying? And we don't want to be caught up in no stuff like that. We got too many, you know what I'm saying? Too many lackluster things that's going on that we can't point to. Black people face one problem, the problem of ignorance. This is why those who opposed us stole from us, from our parents, disconnected us from our continent, and enforced us illiteracy. But now the ignorance is self-inflicted. We send our children to their schools. We detach ourselves from our motherland, and we do not read meaningful literature. Consciousness is a series of stages. The sooner we get to one, the sooner we're ready to fight for a higher. A pro-Black compendium accelerates the beginner to advance and provide for the advance and unparalleled breadth. Right? So this is stuff we're trying to build up and trying to get to. This is stuff we're trying to build up and trying to get to. Things that we need to, be about. Now, here we go. The 7 qualifications. Now, these are 7 qualifications of an African nationalist, right? Now, they got down, you got to perform these 7 every day, daily. And that's what the group is talking about, and this is things, we got to be and be a part of. The 7 qualifications of an African nationalist. In the service of our ancestors in African love, listen, seek, I come in peace. African nationalism is not a school of thought, but an organization of action. As long as we fail to recognize that African nationalism is more than a point of view and actually requires to claim it, to involve him or herself in organization, members of our race are doomed to lack of nationhood and thus lack of power. A nation organizes its food, clothing, shelter, and consciousness. Social development plays a big part in this. Because you got to change the ideas, from little sproutlings. That's why social development is so important to nation building. The moment a nationalist is worthless in these avenues, the nationalist forfeits his or her instruments and necessities. The African and European nation holds no power. The African nation is near non-existent. We need more African nationalists. For the African blood siblings, the African nationalists need to fulfill these 7 qualifications to truly organize African food, clothing, shelter, and consciousness. The 7 African qualifications of an African nationalist by Onitaset Kumat. Number 1, the conviction that the Africans should be the sole leaders of African people in Africa and the diaspora. A resolve against dependency. Well, like Marcus Garvey told us, that you get your leadership from another race will kill you. Number 2, a convention that Africans should have social settings free of non-Africans and non-African ideas. A resolve against integration. If it's just us, there is no integration. We get that melanin flowing and all that type of spirituality and the stuff up in us, the good stuff, the good righteousness within us that we know we done before, with inventions and things of that nature. Number 3, a conviction that Africans should be able and willing to produce everything they are able and willing to consume. A resolve against impoverishment. Thomas Sankara told us about this. This is how you build Burkina Faso back up. You know what I'm saying? We got to depend on ourselves and do what we got to do for ourselves. And just focus on that. Number 4, a conviction that African leaders and liberators need to be developed through time and struggle. A resolve against impatience. Stephen Biko told us about this. You know what I'm saying? So we can shake that fear, they can see it. You know, and it got to be developed with the kids. It's part of social development. A big part of nation building, but not the main part. They all come together like 6 guitar string. Number 5, the conviction that African should be about race first and race only. A resolve against individualism. You know, H. Rap Brown told us about this too. The great H. Rap Brown. You know what I'm saying? He said we can't afford to be individualists. We can't afford that luxury being blacks here in America. Being enough African descent here in America. Number 6, a conviction that African sexuality is strictly between a African man and an African woman. A resolve against imbalance. Now, sexuality is taking it back to the spiritual form of the balance and scales of Mayat, and there had to be order. You know what I'm saying? And process. The reason why we in this trouble right now, because we are out of order, we are out of balance. You know, with our natural selves, because we under this civil law. So we got to change that and flip that. And one of the ways you flip that is when the creation of the god and the goddesses come together. Strictly between an African man and an African woman. Number 7, the conviction that Africans should solely adhere to African spiritual system as a resolve against many crime. We're not going to, every revolution you see that won out, you know, in history, from present day to on back, most of those, the vast majority of those revolutions, they was under African spirituality. You know, Haiti, even Angola with the Cuban troops, and you know what I'm saying, when they defeated South Africa. Those guys was under African spirituality. They was doing Santa Rita and all that stuff. The Cubans was, they still had that African connection in them. And the Angolans was doing the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Stuff we need to get back to. Our revolution, in conclusion, you know, we can get back to that spirituality stuff. In conclusion, our revolution is not a public speaking tournament. All right? I want to repeat this again. Our revolution is not a public speaking tournament. Our revolution is not a battle of our fine phrases. Our revolution is simply not sprouting slogans that are nothing more than signals to be used by manipulators trying to use them as catchwords or code words as a foil for their own display. Our revolution is and shall continue to be a collective effort of revolutionaries to transform the reality to improve the concrete situation of the masses of our country. Thomas Sankara. So hopefully y'all learn these are the principles that you need to follow. Just like the economic principles you follow for Kwanzaa, which you should be doing every day. Kwanzaa should be an everyday thing. You should follow them principles every day. Being African national, you got to follow these principles every day. You know what I'm saying? Get back to our regular self. The fight against many cry. The fight against imbalance. The fight against individualism, which is one of the main reasons why we can't organize right. You know, the organization problem. The fight against impoverishment. The fight against integration, and the fight against dependency. You understand? So we gotta defeat these things and overcome these ills. And it gives you conviction to do these things. So we can have a resolve to beat that to get back to nation building. Anywho, this is Akoski of Fun Day. Hopefully you like the channel, like the video, like what you see. You know, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Much love to you and yours. Peace.